Okay, so the controls for this game are QW
Okay.
and OP.
Okay. I see it.
Okay, and I've played it a lot, and I can't tell you what they do. All I can say is that Q and W, it's like one lifts your like thigh, and the other like extends your leg for your left leg, and the other it's something like that. So I swear to God, you end up literally being like, and you just need to like run 100 meters, and you just go like. You just fall backwards. You don't go anywhere. Like, it's impossible to control.
That's incredible. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the PogCast, a show dedicated to talking about all the poggers things in life, like music, content creation, video games, with a heavy focus on the first-person shooter Escape from Tarkov. I am Jessekazam, one of your co-hosts, an Escape from Tarkov streamer and YouTuber, and the father of a toddler who is now potty training. So there's pee all over my house.
And I'm Veritas. I don't have an excuse for all the pee all over my house.
It's just there.
Sometimes I giggle and a little bit comes out. What can I say? I literally, like 1 minute before I started the call, I had a genius idea.
Wow.
I had a genius idea.
Let's just roll right into the bangers.
Yes, me and you and I, we need to do at least Tarkov raid.
Okay.
Possibly more.
At least one Tarkov raid? You literally you said one. You said and then Discord froze. You're like, you and me need to do one at raid. And I was like
1 milligram of heroin.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't want to just be like, yup, that's a great. Okay, one Tarkov raid.
One Tarkov raid. But I had like 19 things that popped into my head. We should, if we can get a good raid on like Shoreline where we both make it out, right at the beginning, we need to do like the 3, 2, 1 clap. And then we take our videos, upload them to each of our respective channels, and people can watch them side by side.
That would be insane. All
you'd have to do is like press play on one, get the playhead up to the clapping point, and then hit play right as it starts. And then maybe mute one or something.
Yeah.
And then I think that'd be dope.
That would be incredible.
To see both the perspectives. That could be cool.
That would be incredible, dude. That would be sick.
Maybe I'd survive a raid.
Yeah, I was about to say we gotta get a good raid. The video's like 13 seconds long, and it's like super tactical, and we're like running up to Shoreline, and we just get like grenade launcher.
Street bomb dead. You know, I think last week we left off like I'm gonna go try to like not do quests. You must have heard. There's no way you didn't.
I don't know.
Catch wind of sort of what happened.
All I know is that like we ended the podcast. I went and made Juju. I sat down, I fired up my stream, and like during my intro, people were like, Veritas is playing Valorant. I was like, oh man, that didn't go well, did it?
Dude, I went to Shoreline. I went to the resort. I killed a 4-man squad.
I like where this is going.
It was dope as hell. I spent all the time in the world medding, looting, all the things. I was fully packed up. Mm-hmm. I dropped all the shit that I had and was like ready to go.
Ready.
And this was on the first floor. I literally ran in the first floor.
Yeah.
Got into a fight. The dudes had just left the new room, the locked room.
The key with tape or whatever. Room.
Yeah. They just left there, and they already had a bunch of shit, and I killed all of them, looted all their shit, and was like, yes. So my plan was to just go out back to like a middle section, whatever, like the executive office area, whatever the fuck it's called, and then go out to see if the rock passage was open. And you know how like right on the corner of like the first floor area, in pretty much every angle, both sides, there's like a utility kind of closet. It's just shelves.
Yeah, and it's like the hardwood. As soon as you go in it, you're like walking on hardwood.
Yeah, it's a normal size room, but it's just a square.
Yeah.
So there, I literally went and just was gonna shortcut through that room, and there was a naked dude with a fucking pistol in there, and he went pop, and he one tapped me, and it was like, I just spent like 40 minutes killing fucking everybody, looting all their shit, and then this one dude just pop with a pistol. Like,
no.
I can't. I'm like, I can't.
but that's kind of like, so that's indicative of, though, like, because when we were talking about what the frustrations of Tarkov, you know, it's like, is it
what was the reason?
Yeah, is it because Tarkov is changing fundamentally, or is it because you've played so much Tarkov, there's other games that you want to play, and you're just, you know what I mean, need a break? That's kind of indicative of
it was aggression, but then also or people have gotten better.
Yeah.
Or the other two.
Whereas that's just like, that's like Tarkov. You know what I mean? Like, as long as there's been Tarkov, there's been dudes with pistols one tapping people in the face. And if it's like, all right, it's not like some giant evolution of the game. It's just like, I need a break. You know what I mean? Like, if that, yeah, that sucks. That sucks.
Yeah. I mean,
it's funny,
it's like,
because we filmed the podcast. It was last Thursday or Friday, whatever. I think it was Friday. It was Friday, because Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday were my 3 best days of Tarkov, potentially ever, definitely of this wipe, which was why I was so like, bro, you got to go Shoreline. Like, it's so much fun. And that day and every day since has been like awful.
Really?
Like, I mean, I'm having fun. Like, when you've got the Bitcoin farm leveled up, you don't have to worry about making money. So it's like, whatever. But like, I've been dying so much, just so much death.
You know, oh God, are you ever ashamed of yourself?
I mean,
You shouldn't be.
I have been many times.
I just felt shame because as soon as you said that the last few days has been really bad, I was like, thank fucking God. It's not just me.
And then immediately felt ashamed.
And then I was like, oh man, I'm such an asshole. Earlier today, because I was talking to Pestily and a few other people from the team on the Discord.
Yeah.
So I popped into his stream, and he like loaded into a raid, ran 2 feet, and just got like ran down by a bunch of dudes with like garbage gear. And he got in one of those situations where it was like MP7, 30-round mag versus 3 people.
Oh, yeah. And
2 seconds after you spawn, and you're just like reloading, just kind of like you can't move, you're just getting shot, and it's like, go back to the, and I'm like, I don't even want to like, I don't feel like watching anybody play.
Yeah.
Because it's the same feeling of just like, 2 minutes of gameplay and 40 minutes of fucking stash, you know?
Yeah, stash organization. I have been, the past few days have been a lot of 2 things. One's a bug and one's, I don't know the back end science behind like what causes like desync. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, but it's been so desyncy on my servers, desyncy when I'm playing with a buddy and I have them invite. Sometimes I'll invite. So just like whatever we do, we change the servers. I have clips, because I always clip it when I die, and like we break it down. You know what I mean? We roll the tape, and I have so many clips of like, you know, I'm doing the really, really quick AD jiggle peek just to like see where the guy is, and I'm like, I peek. I get back behind cover. I can say there's a guy at the end of the hall, and then I'd fall over dead. And I'm like, I was so far behind cover. There's been a lot of that, and then a lot of when I know for a fact that my gun is on full auto, and I'll either shoot 1 bullet and stop, or it'll be like, and you're just like, what the? You know what I mean? And that sometimes you can't hear when your own gun stops firing if you're both shooting. So you
just have your mouse down and you're staring, and then you watch it again and you're like,
exactly. I have clips where I'm just like strafing, just like holding my gun at the guy, and he's just like, and I was like, oh well,
no,
I didn't stand. Yeah, I didn't stand a chance. So that's been happening a lot, which is frustrating. I really, because we talked a lot about this last week. Where like, bettering myself is enough motivation where I can legitimately have fun even if I'm dying like all day. But when it's like when you don't die to a player, when you die to the game, that's when it starts to be like, Jesse, you calm down, like, you know what I mean? Because it's just like, what am I gonna do there? You know what I mean? But and I don't know. Once again, I don't know what's happening there because it feels like less players are playing than a month ago. So it can't be like servers are overrun. I don't know what causes it.
Yeah, so the desync, I mean, I still have a ton. I'm trying to like learn bits and pieces of game dev and networking, the game side of networking just in my free time. Because I think it'd actually be cool to maybe pivot my software career into something like that. You know, maybe do something a little bit different, switch it up. But I mean, desync, I mean, it's called desync because it's literally short for like desynchronization between clients and or the server. So I always have the question of, so imagine you guys are both on a wall, right? You can, if you just like simplify it down totally into you peak and you not peak, and that's like true or false. Right? You can it's almost feels like a coin flip when you peak. Let's just say it's for half a second. That has to take, 50 milliseconds, 100 milliseconds to get to the server, then get to their client to then show that you peak out, for them to click, for them to you know what I mean? It's always like a 1-0-1-0-1-0-1-0-1-0. It could be that there's a million things I can think of,
bro.
Maybe they are clicking on your head. And you just don't see them peek out until afterwards. So you peek out, you see nothing, you're behind cover. But at that point, the server says, oh, half of a second ago, they shot while you peeked out. So he should be dead. Let me reconcile that by killing him. It's not necessarily like...
Which, that makes sense. That makes sense. I don't understand the science behind like why just like Tuesday... It's great. There's no desync, and then Thursday there's desync every other raid. Like that's the stuff when it feels like I've gone like weeks without that issue, and then all of a sudden I die 9 times in one stream that way. I don't understand the back end of that, but because I've always understood that where it's like obviously, and I'll even call that out. Like when my chat sees that I'm getting frustrated, I'm always call out like that guy probably just clicked on my head. You know what I mean? Like on his screen I was just there. I'm not saying he was sus or like it's not on him. It's frustrating, but. You know what it could be? Tell me if this would make sense. Tell me if from like a development standpoint. You know what it is? I bet it's because so when I feel like the game is working really, really well and fine, when somebody's peeking like that for me, when they do the really quick like 80 peeks around the corner, my brain, like when you see a person, you always think shoot, but I always shoot late. Like I never hit them. I never hit them when they do that stuff. Like, you know what I mean? They always bait me to shoot. Now they know where I am, and then they pre-fire me and I die all the time. You know what it is I bet it's because I do those peaks. Like I'll do like 3 of them. And what's happening? Like, is it like in a rhythm? Yeah, I'm like peak. And the desync, he clicks on my head when I'm not there, but I'm re-peaking. You know what I mean? Like, does that make sense? Yeah. Where the desync he's clicking on 2. Yes. But you're dying on 3. If he does what I do, where the guy, exactly. If we make it like a rhythm, 1, 2, 3. If 1 is the guy peeking, 2 is when I click and react, but he's already back behind cover, and then 3 is when the repeak again happens. If the desync is happening where he peeks when I'm not there because he's reacting to me peeking, but then I immediately peek again, I'm almost like peeking into his fire. You know what I mean? That could be it. Yes. There's an infinite number of things I can think of. Yeah. And I'm sure that the actual cause is probably all of them. If there's a Venn diagram, it's probably like not in the intersection of the things I know. It's probably in the like the things I'm ignorant of. Yeah. It was just a really two things. One, as you were talking, your like Discord call froze briefly. Dude, so we just had literal podcast desync. So maybe it's just your fucking ISP because everybody's at home and coronavirus, streaming Netflix. That could be it too, because I've had a huge number of over the past few days, specifically people are saying like I can see in OBS like my frame every few hours, my OBS will like stutter a little bit, like my bitrate will tank and then come back and then tank and come back and then we're good for a few hours. So it literally could be my ISP, and maybe I'm the one desyncing, and it's not the game. It's not Tarkov. It's just me.
Could be.
No, let's blame Tarkov. Let's blame Tarkov.
We could blame Tarkov. Although one of the interesting things this would be I want to bring up one of the things that's actually been one of the most controversial issues in Valorant has to do with hit reg, and people blame it on hit reg and desync, but it's actually not either of those really in the way that people think. And it's just interesting to talk about, I guess, in this context.
Yeah.
So Valorant is hit scan, which means when you click, it's effectively like a laser beam. There's not a projectile. So as long as you are clicking on somebody's head, technically speaking, I'm assuming, based on my understanding of a few different things, and there was actually some in-game testing I did that validated this. I think all they really need to do in order to figure out like if you were hit is when you click your mouse, all they need to do is draw not even draw, but just like you have a vector from your gun to their character model, and if it intersects, then it's a hit.
Yeah.
You don't have to like send the packet.
Oh yeah, okay.
With like the time and the velocity of the bullet and have all that. You don't have to do any of that. All you need to do is say the person clicked at this time, and what that'll do is on Valorant server side, they are actually running like an instance of the game, but with the graphics basically tuned way down. And this is an oversimplification.
Yeah.
But so like the cool thing is that if you see somebody running on your screen, right, or you're running back and forth, there's the animations that your client does, right? It knows that like you're in like the first step of the right stepping animation. Yeah. So it knows how to draw that. So does the server. So all the server needs to know is that you pressed W and like at this time, and you've been holding it down for, this many cycles or whatever. So it actually can reverse engineer. Okay, the person clicked. Where was the person? And it's able to draw their hitbox exactly where it should have been.
Interesting. At that moment.
At the time. So it can actually like, how a lot of games you'd like shoot someone under the armpit, but it would still count as a hit, even though they were like really imprecise. It was just boxes.
Yeah.
And in this case, Valorant can actually pretty cheaply, in terms of performance, effectively do like, here's your character model at this exact time. Here's where the guy shot. Here's the vector. All they need to do is literally have your shape and a shape and draw a line. Does it intersect? Yeah. Yes. Send a hit confirmation.
That's interesting.
That's really cool. It's a really cool way of doing it. I don't know how many games do that. I don't know how novel that is. I don't know what Tarkov does.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is that in Valorant, there are tracers for many of the guns if they're not suppressed. But the tracers are projectiles.
Oh.
So I'm going to say a couple of different things here that will all add up to and I kind of want to do like a Valorant science video on this, but I know it's probably not going to be received well by all my, Tarkov fans, but it's still really interesting nonetheless. Yeah. So I'm probably just going to say fuck it, do it anyway. But so imagine you go to shoot at somebody, and at the exact moment that you click, they crouch. What's going to happen is the bullet is going to hit their chest, let's say, but they crouch, and on your client, the blood splatter does this, and they crouch into the blood splatter, and the projectile hits slightly later on the head, but at the exact moment that you clicked,
you hit them in the chest.
You hit them in the chest, and if you slow it down frame by frame, which unless you're like a content creator or you're recording, you don't have the hindsight, right? You just say, all you see is you click and the head splatter, and you look in the after damage report and it's a chest shot, and you're like, they have this hit reg issue where I'm always hitting their head. And every single clip I've seen maybe 50 clips that people have sent me, every time it's always somebody crouching into a shot. Yeah. And the thing is that it's like you clicked, and at the exact moment you clicked, they crouched, but time between, like, the animation is like, milliseconds between the crouching, the animation, the hit reg. So it's like it's actually just the way that the game is going to be. It's not really a bug. It's just there's always going to be some latency. I would rather have there be a little bit of visual deception, but have it be true to what should have happened.
It's like the opposite problem. Instead of in Tarkov, I see a guy but they're not really there. It's like the server is actually performing better than what we can deliver to you as far as an animation or graphics or whatever. And because of that, the server is actually providing. They both end up in a WTF moment because, we can't acknowledge that really quickly. But that's a really interesting, like, complete reversal of, like, the servers just are performing, like, perfectly, like, really well.
Yeah. So one of the guys in chat, who was one of the folks that I had talked to back in the day about the some of the, like, FPS issues and stuff, and some of the changes that he had we had passed on to Nikita had arguably fixed a lot of the stutters and stuff. He confirmed that at least Tarkov hit reg is vector based, very similar to what we just said, like Valorant, but it uses bullet drop physics and that sort of stuff. So it, has to, I'm assuming, model all of that in there, which is much more computationally intensive.
Because it's drawing the vector from your gun, but the vector is trying to take into account the information that would have been plugged in. It would drop this far over this distance. It's moving this fast. As opposed to just in Valorant, it's just like boom, boom. Just draw the line as soon as it's clicked, and gotcha.
Yeah. So, but I might have, I'm gonna have more information, I think, soon about some of the way that things work in Tarkov, and I won't give any more details or information on that. But let's just say, I'm doing some research.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, and then I also recently, speaking of interviews, interviewed. Not only did I interview a cheater who had been banned, but then I just had a 3-part series. It was a 2-hour interview that I must say I very much enjoyed the conversation. As much as I, the way I look at it is like people who interview, like people who are in prison for crimes. Like the people interviewing them aren't like rude and they don't treat them like shit. It's like I kind of was trying to think of myself as a journalist in a way. And not try to take anything or make it like personal. Not try to like guilt the guy, although I did ask questions about like how do you deal with, hating dying to cheaters and then cheating yourself, the cognitive dissonance that. But I thought it was a really interesting take, and surprisingly, the community really liked it.
That's really cool. I haven't been able to finish the third one yet, but dude, that's an awesome. It's awesome that you were able to do that. And I completely understand what you're saying. Like, it's not a conversation if you just sit down and it's like, all right.
He doesn't want me to lecture him.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you suck. Tell me why you do these stupid things you do. Like, we all think that cheaters suck, but you're not going to get anywhere as far as, like, the purpose of the video is, like, learning and knowledge and, like, growing. And so, so that makes total sense.
Nobody's would be mad that, like, if you're asking a serial killer, like, why did you do what you did and how did you do it? Like, don't interview the serial killer, because then a bunch of people are going to want to be serial killer. I mean, like, if they were really interested, I wouldn't be the key that unlocks the door for them. It's the same thing with cheaters. Like, none of the things we talked about, are going to be some epiphany to some person. If you're able to do even basic cheat development, then you can probably find all of these things on cheat development forums and all kinds of other bullshit. But it was met with pretty much unanimously positive feedback. So I was really excited. And then now my goal is to see if I can't get the Battle Eye devs to see if they can talk. Although I somehow feel like that's going to be a lot harder. And I don't know if I killed that by accidentally mistagging apparently a fake Battle Eye Twitter account.
Dude, I saw that tweet.
That is like a promoter. Here's the thing. I was on my phone and I was typing into Twitter like right before I went to bed. I didn't even have my glasses on. I was just like, I had the idea right before I was falling asleep and was putting on a podcast myself. I'm like, I'm gonna tweet at them and see if I can't like maybe put a little bit of like pressure, or whatever,
Yeah.
see if they wanna. And I searched for Battle Eye and I couldn't find it because I typed battle ending with an E, and then I typed EYE, like Battle Eye, without knowing that the E at the end of the battle is the same as the one at the beginning. So then when I typed that, I get like the auto completed results. But then if you're on Twitter on mobile, you can't like, I'm like, fuck, like I don't know. There was the Battle Eye and then there was like Battle Eye TM.
Yep.
And I'm like, I ended up looking at one of them and seeing that it was legit. And then somehow the tweet I sent out was the other one.
Yeah.
I never actually saw that the other one was a cheat seller.
Yeah.
I just thought that maybe it was like an old account or unofficial.
Exactly. Or like a just someone's YouTube name, like Battle Eye. You know what I mean?
But I'm just so mad that like I literally checked.
Dude.
And I think I just clicked the wrong thing in the autocomplete list, and then I got like 8 billion DMs about like, yeah, you sent it to the wrong. I'm like, I'm not even gonna delete it, because Twitter should fucking bring back you can't get verified on Twitter like anymore at all, basically, unless you're like a journalist or something.
They
and
just
it's like
hand them out. Yeah,
this is another reason why if one of them had a check mark, I wouldn't have to fucking think about it.
100%. I saw that. That was the tweet I saw. That you retweeted your own tweet and you were like, this is one of those cases where the verification, this is why it's here. It's not for clout. You know what I mean? It's for this. And it's like, oh, geez. And that's when I clicked on the one you tagged and I was like, whoa. But that would be sick. It would be like, it would be cool to, be able to hear from like Battle Eye's perspective and stuff like that. Obviously, they can't talk about the sauce because then people get around it. But it would be super interesting to just hear from like their perspective. You know what I mean?
So it's my job to see if I can contact them, see if I can sell it to them that I want to talk to them and why I want to talk to them.
Yeah.
To basically help not restore faith, but like build up the confidence and the faith in what they're doing, to get a better understanding overall. But also, like, we do kind of want to like tiptoe around. Like, I don't want specifics. We can't.
Yeah.
Unlike every other company in the world, they can't say like, we're working on this new thing that's going to be great. Like, they can't even do anything like that. But I still think that there's a ton that we could learn,
for sure.
Or even just misconceptions about like why is it that you ban people? Why how often do you falsely ban? How do you guys figure it out? Like, stuff like that. That would probably be the only controversial thing I would want to talk to them about is false bans, because that was something that that we had brought up in that conversation.
Yep.
And I totally understand, at least conceptually, how something like that could work. So,
dude, so interesting. Was there any like one or like key takeaway from the interview with the dev that like maybe like surprised you? Maybe it was that emotional thing, the cognitive dissonance, or maybe just like a way that they operate. You were just like, whoa. Not really,
because I'm still at the point where I have all of these claims that he made that all make sense to me, that I am still not 100% sure where I stand in terms of, is it true? Is it not true? I actually talked to Nikita, and one of the things that he had mentioned in one of the episodes was about them signing their binaries, which put, simply in non like technical terms is you have an application, wrap it up with a bow on it and a stamp, like a wax seal, but it's like a software wax seal, so that like when you get it, and you go to play the game, it knows it's got like the, from the breaking the seal on the drink kind of thing. Like, it knows that it hasn't been tampered with.
Interesting.
So, and again, that's a really dumbed down way.
But it makes sense to somebody that doesn't know anything about that. Like,
so, and he had said that they don't sign their binaries, which is something that surprised me. So he basically said that like, yeah, you can just download the binary and like write your own code and then like recompile it and it'll run. And I was like really surprised by that. But then when I talked to Nikita, and there was some back and forth about like Battle Eye is handling all that. Don't worry, like all of those things he basically talked about is covered, even without code signing. Whether they should code sign or not is a whole different thing. But he basically said like, while that it may or may not be true, like it's not an issue. So again, it's really hard for me to like take anything away, because when I had the interview with the cheater, I got 100 DMs from 100 people saying, either I'm a cheater or I'm a cheat developer or whatever, and here's 20 things that he said that were right and 20 things that he said that were wrong, and all of them conflicted with each other. And then I have a conversation with this guy, and I now have another 100 DMs being like, I can tell you more insider information about why this is wrong and this is wrong. It's like, how am I supposed to know?
Yeah,
you know,
that's it. How do you find the truth? Like, how do you?
I mean, I educate yourself, right?
Yeah.
If I was someone who worked for BattlEye, I could say that's true or that's false or I didn't know that or we know that, you know?
Yeah, dude, that's crazy. It's like crazy, but also completely not surprising. That's just like how the internet is. Like, anytime you say anything as like a black and white, like this is this, like, you know what I mean? Like, you can't tweet that the sky's blue without 7,000 people telling you that it's actually a shade of cyan and it's the way you're at. Like, and it's just like, yeah, that's so interesting. I hadn't considered that even the cheaters would be like, actually.
and people wonder why, as someone like me, as an engineer that's interested in like skepticism, science, reason, and like all of this kind of discussion, they wonder why why does he like talk so much and he always has to caveat everything a million times before and afterwards? Yeah. It's because I'm very fucking clear about what I say, and I want to say, this is the thing that I was thinking about the other day that was based on some other thing that I'm not 100% sure of, that was based on some other thing from this other expert that I understand. And like, and people just think that I'm being, that I like to hear my own voice, but I'm actually like, I want to be able to defend in court. You said this.
Yes.
No. I said exactly what I meant, and every word fucking matters. And I'm not trying to be a pedantic dickhead.
Yep. Dude, I'm the same way where it's like, yeah, dude, anytime anybody asks my opinion on something, I spend so much time qualifying my own response. Like, okay, I don't understand this completely, and I don't understand that, and I don't know about this, I'm not sure about that. But all that being said, this is my opinion because like it's become uncommon to have the like understanding that I could be wrong. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like, I don't know, we've lost that. Like, you know what I mean? So I have to qualify every statement I make to make sure that people know that it's like, I love being wrong. Like, being wrong means you learned something. You know what I mean? I thought this, I was wrong, and now I think this. Like, that's evolution. That's how we grow as a species. Like, you know what I mean? You have to get stuff wrong. And I like that, and I don't mind that. So like, but people all the time are like, dude, you're like, you never pick a side. You just go right down the middle. Like, you never like,
as if you're like scared. It's like, no, it's honesty, right? It's the reason why if you ask some random Karen at like a teacher's conference about, you know, vaccines causing autism, and she'll know everything that there is to know. But if you talk to a biologist, they'll say, here's the biology, everything you need to know about the biology. When it comes to like the genetics or this other, like anything, well, not genetics, but anything outside of biology, you know, the chemistry, I don't know. And that's when they start caveating and everything, because they realize that there are other people that know what the fuck they're talking about, that if they speak out of line, they'll get corrected. But the problem is that so often in society, it's a bunch of unqualified people yelling at a bunch of other unqualified people about shit they read in an article written by somebody who's also not qualified, or, you know.
Exactly. So, it's and so now it feels like it's like, I don't use the word burden, but like trying to express what I'm trying to say takes so many more steps, because I think the same way, dude. Like, I don't want anything that ever leaves my mouth that I can't hold up in court. No, let's roll the tape and listen to what I said. Because before, you know, you get to that sound bite of what I said, I spent 3 minutes being like, well, I don't understand this, and I'm not sure about that, and I don't know about this, but here's my opinion. So I think that same way. I'm so careful. And yeah, people, it's the same thing. Like, dude, you never pick a side. You never do this. And it's like, I don't care. Like, what do you think?
This just happened on the one of the, it was the video I posted that you had sent me.
Okay, one of the clips.
The conversation with Pestily about the flea market.
Oh my god, dude!
Did you read through the comments there?
I didn't. Yeah, it didn't take me very long to.
It's so funny because the introduction of that video is 30 seconds of me being like, this and this and this and this. It was like, oh my God, another video of half the comments were saying how I, talked for 2 minutes and said nothing.
Yeah.
And then the other half of the criticisms were, Veritas, this idea is the stupidest idea you've ever come up with. I don't understand why you like this idea, blah, blah, blah. But the first 30 seconds was me saying, I have spent like 6 months ignoring people spamming chat saying, get rid of the flea market, get rid of the flea market. I've been ignoring it because it just was something that I didn't want to think about. And, it seemed like it was going to be a problematic discussion and it would be dramatic. And I haven't considered anything. So let's do a thought experiment. Let's just see like what would happen. But of course, that was me saying, we need to get rid of the flea market now,
And it was crazy because like, and I know, and Pestley knows, like we were all tracking, we were all having that conversation, very, very aware that opinions change and they ebb and flow. And what was so frustrating is like so many people came through in the comments and they were like, I agree. And like I have nothing but respect for Pestley. I agree with Pestley. Pestley was saying this and like what he was saying. And it's like, if you really want me to, like I can create a soundbite for you from a team podcast that Nikita was on, where out of the words of Pestley's mouth, he was like, Nikita, have y'all ever thought about like turning the flea market off for like 2 weeks? You know what I mean? Just to see what would happen. And it was like, it's just, nothing exists outside of the world of that guy said something I disagree with, but this guy said something I agree with. So everything this guy's ever said is true and everything this guy's ever said is false. So I'm going to hitch my wagon to this guy and I'm going to say, we think you suck. And it's like, I was so frustrated at that, which is why I don't read the comments, because it was like, it's not just not worth responding to you. It's actually not even worth reading the comment because like, there's so much more to it. It's so frustrating. Yeah, it was just so weird. And I even said that in the video. I was like, yeah, Pestley, you had this idea. Like I was in the video. Like, I don't know.
And the people are like, black that out, because they're like,
exactly.
Pestley is my hero. And he said, and the best part too was that his whole thing wasn't even necessarily that it would hurt them.
Yeah.
It would hurt new players, but it was mostly that like it would be a shit show of drama.
Yeah.
Like it wouldn't be received well, but everybody took that as him being like, stand for the common man. And it's like, well, yesterday, depending on what Pestley said, he, got the Mosin ammo changed and he's the worst person ever. But now today he's the guy that speaks for the common man. So it's just everybody is on a different.
And it's just, it's rough because it's just like, it just feels like you're not allowed to have any sort of opinion that changes or shifts. Like, you know what I mean? And that's what it is. Like I have such ever evolving opinions about things. Like I think things about Tarkov now that even just a few weeks ago or a few months ago, I was like, man, I don't think that's a good idea. I'm like, oh, maybe we should consider that. And that's exactly what it was. It wasn't Pestley like flip-flopping on himself. It was in the context of a 2-hour conversation 2 months ago. He thought, oh, Nikita, have you ever thought about turning the flea market off? And then in the context of a separate conversation on a separate day of the week, after separate experiences have happened on a separate podcast, it was brought up and he had a slightly different opinion or was approaching it from a different way. Maybe his opinion remained the same, but he was approaching it from a different way. But like,
maybe he was playing devil's advocate either way, right?
Just gets deleted. And it's just this, So, I mean, all this is a rant off of what we were saying about like how we say things, but it feels like we have to like, but it produces its own problems.
Yeah, the one comment that I read that I think was probably the most toxic, but I was like, I get it, was I don't understand why Jesse does this podcast with Veritas. Like he's such a fucking douchebag. He should do it with Geeks. He should do it with Geeks. And I was like, I get it.
You know what?
I like him better than me too, but.
Bro, I hate that stuff. I don't, dude. Do you remember when I sent you that clip in the Discord? I sent you the clip, and it was like I made the title of the video like, "Should we disable the flea market?" And then I was like, "This is gonna be so toxic. You don't have to post it if you don't want to." And then you posted it, and I was like, "All right, buckle up." Like, I can't read it. Do you? How? Maybe we don't have to talk about it. This. Is like completely off of what we said. Like wrote down as notes, but like,
we can.
Do you read like? How many YouTube comments do you read? I might shoot myself in the foot here because I read very little of them. I can't, bro. I can't exist in this world and read most of the YouTube comments?
I'm so scared to answer this question.
I know. You don't have
every
to.
comment, every single comment. I think
Really?
I've probably read every single. I mean, there are lots that get like buried in the held for review that I just almost never click through. I did the other day on stream because someone was like, "Hey, dude, on the cheater interview, the cheat dev interview video, like all these comments kept going away. Like, are you deleting comments?" And I was like, "No, I don't. I'll only ever delete something if it's like a racial, threatening thing,
100%.
or if it's like." Half my comments these days are like, go to, hotsingles.com or something. And I just have to be like, spam again.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I will go through and read. And typically what I'll do is anything that is not toxic, I fucking heart and upvote.
100%. Yeah.
Because it's like, yes. And then every now and then I will come across one that's like 17 fucking paragraphs.
Yeah.
And it's like my blood is boiling.
100%.
It's like it takes me back to when I was like 16 arguing with people about like 9/11 conspiracy theories on forums all day long. I almost got fired from my job at State Farm because I spent like a whole week just arguing with people on a fucking forum about,
that makes so much sense. Like I can see that. Dude, I'm going to change the fucking world with this one comment. But these days I end up typing out this big long thing, and then usually I will just delete it because part of what I need to do is not fucking read everything, not feel like I need to read everything. And let me, I guess, qualify what I said. I read, it's like I stop reading comments as soon as I can sense the tone of it. Does that make sense? Like, because when you hit a comment that's 7 paragraphs long, you already know what it's going to be. So I won't read that. You know what I mean? But I really do try to read all the comments. But as soon as I start to see the tone shift, I can't finish reading it, because if I finish reading it, I'm going to think about it for like hours. And I'm going to be like, I can't believe, like, did you even watch the video? I can't believe, why would that guy think that? That guy, how did he consume that content and then take it away? Should I change how I do things? Should I change what? Like, I can't stop. So I do try to read as much as I can. And like you're saying, I try to heart or upvote anything that's positive. Like, I'm very appreciative, but dude, it's just wild.
Tell me when, raise your hand when you figure out, I'm going to read my favorite comment that's been flagged by YouTube as potentially inappropriate.
Okay.
I'm going to read it, and raise your hand when
I would have
it's
stopped
become
reading.
Clear that it's toxic. Veritas, fuck off. This is hands down the dumbest idea you have ever had.
Dude.
And then it's like paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs of just being like, you're a piece of shit.
Dude, it's
fuck off. Oh, well, okay.
Yeah,
I know where this one's going.
I can't do it. I can't do it. Now, I will say, like, at least for me, and maybe other creators experience it differently, but like the first 24 hours are almost always like positive. Like the people that like enjoy the content and come and they're like, dude, like, oh, cool this, cool that. And I love it. And it's so refreshing, and it really is energizing for me. It's a source of motivation. It's a source of joy to see like the people who are like, you know what I mean? Even just like you know what I mean? Just like a 2-word, like, nice edit. Like if I spent any extra time editing that video and then somebody just hits the 2-word nice edit, I'm like, oh yes. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's good. So I read a ton of them. But like, once the paragraphs start rolling in, that's when I'm like, okay, I think, dude, this was funny. Did you get this on your video? Because I actually, a 2 months ago, not even 2 months ago, a month ago, I did a video on like the Bitcoin farm. You know, is the Bitcoin farm worth it? And actually today, while I was just scrolling YouTube, your old Bitcoin farm video was served to me as well. So I was like, oh, anyways, I got like this 9 reply chain of like, it was like the funniest like scam ever, where it was like, Bitcoin, I was super unsure about Bitcoin, all of this stuff, and then Ethan's plan for how to triple your Bitcoin in 90 days, and I did it, and it was so awesome. And then there was a comment,
like, yeah, totally.
And it was like, yes, Ethan saved me. I was down on my luck, and I this and that, and then like a different person, yes, Ethan's plan. I have been trying to figure out how to tell people about Ethan's plan, but there were like 11 of them, and then the 12th comment was like, I'm pretty sure this is about a video game. Like the guy was like responding to the people, and it was so
who are almost definitely bots.
100% bots, dude. It was so funny. I was just like, this is great, and I was like, I bet yours got a bunch of that too. Because
I do remember.
It's just in the algorithm. They're looking for the word Bitcoin, and they're commenting on every video. You know.
It's funny because that was a while ago that I did that, and of course now all the data is effectively useless.
But you did qualify with that though. You did the warning where you're like, this is the patch, this is when this information is, and it will change.
Which is why I do all my videos on like, I want to teach the philosophy of how I came to this conclusion, and we're going to use the current data as the input, but this like algorithm, you can use until they drastically change the system completely.
For sure.
It works, and that's what I did with all my ammo videos.
No, it's
yikes.
YouTube, man. It's a wide open, wonderful world.
It's not as wonderful as Netflix, which we are not sponsored by.
Imagine if we were just like
sponsored by Netflix. Was Dark on Netflix or was that Hulu?
No, it was on Netflix. It was Netflix original.
Yeah. So a few episodes back, you recommended that I check out the TV show Dark.
Yep.
Now, that was the first time in my entire life that anybody had recommended a TV show to me. And although I instantly was like, yeah, dude, I'll definitely check it out. And in the back of my head, I'm like, no fucking chance I'm going to check it out. Because you know how often you get like,
dude,
you got to check out Star Trek. It's the greatest.
No
Fuck
shame,
off.
dude. No shame. Yeah.
And I was just like, I think I wanted to take a few day break from like streaming for like the first time in almost 3 years.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I need to watch something because I'm out of stuff to watch. And I was scrolling through Netflix, and Dark was one of the things that was there, and I was like,
Netflix not letting me down.
I remember. So then I clicked on it and I started watching it.
And the art is really cool, and you're just like, oh, that's interesting.
I really liked the intro, like music was a really cool song, and I still need to figure out like what's the name of that song and the artist. I wonder if it's always interesting when you listen to the theme song of like a TV show or something. It's always a slightly different edit than like the album version, and it's always like creepily like, no, this is not the song. But yeah, so I just briefly want to talk a little bit about Dark because it's officially now my favorite television show of all time.
I'm so proud that
you did a good thing. You did a good thing.
It's such a hard sell. You know how many people I've tried to get into, like my old boss, a bunch of my friends. It's a hard stop at, well, okay, it's in German. That's just like that's when the eyes glaze over. Yeah, I'll totally check that out. You know what I mean? Like I
forgot.
It's so
and
hard.
It didn't have subtitles. They overdubbed it.
Oh,
which is funny now that like all of the character voices like they're nothing like the actual actors and actresses, but like those are the voices I hear. You watch it, and once you get a few minutes into it, like you're not like watching their mouths. The fact that it's not like a bad, not like a bad like
you watched it overdubbed?
Yeah.
Oh no, I watched it with subtitles.
No, I watched it overdubbed, and I didn't even notice that it was in German. Like, it wouldn't have even needed to. The only thing that ever made me think about it was that all of the characters' names are all these fucking weird-ass names, like Mads, and
Jonas.
And except I think they just said Jonas.
Oh, did they
like,
really?
Fucking Jonas Brothers. Maybe they said Jonas, I don't remember. But yeah, so, like, you just don't even really realize it.
Yeah.
Until my wife, I was, like, halfway through season 2, and she's like, what the fuck are you watching? And I'm like, oh, it's a show. It's really cool. Like, you probably like it. And she's like, what's wrong with their mouths? And I was like, oh, fuck. Like, I
now
didn't
you can't unsee it.
Like, yeah, and it took me like 2 days of watching it to like get back into forgetting about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's a German show. But for anybody that's ever seen Lost, my previous like favorite or at least top 3 TV series was Lost. The thing is that like the beginning season or 2 I liked, but they were kind of boring-ish. And then the ending I hated. It was a big letdown. But the like middle end portion where it was like got real conceptual with parallel timelines and time
Yeah.
travel and all this other shit. Like that's what I fucking loved because I love time travel. One of my favorite movies is 12 Monkeys. Which
Oh
have you ever
yeah.
seen 12
I
Monkeys?
haven't, but I've heard a little bit about it.
Okay, well, I'm just gonna say
I need to
watch it
Okay.
because
There was a TV
it's
show made about that as well at
fuck
one
the
point.
TV show.
Okay, so watch the
Fuck the
movie.
TV
Watch the
show.
movie.
Yeah, it's got is it Mel Gibson? No, not Mel Gibson. No, not him. He's fucking dickhead. Brad Pitt and
Oh.
who was the guy that was in I See Dead People?
Oh, Bruce Willis? Yeah.
Bruce Willis. Yeah, not the other guy. And it's just fucking phenomenally good. At the end, I won't spoil anything for you, but you just end up with this whole fucking like different perspective on the universe when you see it, and it's such a dark but amazing. Yeah, it gives me the same feelings as Dark.
Yes.
But Dark has this element. There's only 3 seasons, and it has this element of time travel and blah blah blah. Let me just ask you one thing, because I ended up with my whiteboard out, diagramming a bunch of shit out. Did you know that there were 2 female characters? I'm gonna say this, and then hopefully that'll pique the interest of some of the people.
Yeah.
Did you know that one of the characters, one of the women, and her daughter? Did you know that her daughter was that woman's mother?
Yeah, also her mother. Yeah. Yep.
They were each other's mother.
Yep. Yeah.
Fucking time travel, chat.
Yeah. And it's like, yeah, and it's exactly. It's like you don't want to spoil anything on the show, but one of those relationships is established first and in your brain very normal. This one mother, this one daughter, and then.
Well, no. Which one was established first? There is no first.
Okay, well, I mean, first in like how you watch the show, not necessarily
Yes.
first chronologically. There is no. That's the point almost, that there is no first. But yeah, but like as you're watching the show, you're like, you know what I mean? You're like mother, daughter, and then you're just like, wait, what? And I just remember having that moment too. See, I'm kind of jealous that you just got to binge it. I watched season 1 the weekend it came out 3 years ago.
And it's miserable, dude.
It was
watching a TV series.
But I wanted something. The art looked super cool, and I got into it, and I was like, "Yo, this is fire!" And then I watched season 2 right when it came out, and then they announced that season 3 was going to be the end, and so I watched that, and so yeah. So imagine watching that show. You had your whiteboard out, and you watched the whole thing in what, like a week? Imagine, dude. Right before season 3, I watched like 7 recap videos, and I was like, "Okay, what the hell is actually happening again?" Like, you know what I mean? It's so but it was great. It's a great show.
Yeah, so thank you for that. You guys should check it out.
I need to check out 12 Monkeys for sure.
I mean, it's a movie, so it's like a 90-minute thing,
Yeah.
but let's like it's a you take the core conceit of Dark in 3 seasons, and it's like there's this whole movie, and then like the last 10 minutes is like, oh fuck, like
Yeah.
and it's really similar, and you'll like it. And like I said, it's got fucking Bruce Willis,
Brad Pitt. What's not to like?
Pitt. Yeah, and there's a bunch of things that I've said before that you probably haven't even noticed was referencing that movie. I think at one point I did.
Your noise gate or my noise gate is cutting out everything, and so I know you changed your voice, but I'm just like hearing.
Was that loud enough?
No.
Someone will. It wasn't.
No, dude.
Oh my god.
It's weird. It's when you do the voice change. It's I don't know if
Interesting.
it's like triple gating or whatever, but it's super hard to pick up.
Sure, triple gating.
Probably.
Yeah, they hear it, but unfortunately, he has the audio for the podcast, so they've just experienced a. Here's the punchline to my joke. And then Jesse giggles and says, "Yeah, nobody heard that."
Basically. Yep. But yeah, Dark. It's so good. It's so good. I was so when you said that you liked it, I was like, yes, because you're the first person I've been able to convince.
I'm the only one that matters.
It's true. It really is true. What else do we got?
I mean, I've got more bullet points or shit that I can keep talking about. I don't know if there's anything that you've got on your mind that you wanna.
Dude, really quickly, we should do Tarkov duos at some point. And you know what else we need? I don't know how you're gonna feel about this. We need some Fall Guys duos.
Fuck yourself.
Have you seen it?
I hate that game, man.
It's the most entertained I have been on Twitch in a long time. It's so great. I was watching Landmark.
It's really fun spectating my friends who are still playing.
Dude,
when I've gotten out 14 seconds into it.
I was watching Landmark play it, dude. Landmark playing Fall Guys, and I couldn't stop laughing, dude. I love it so much. Like, I haven't played it, but I love it so much.
I loved it way before I played it, and then as soon as I played it, it's like one of those
games. Okay.
Yeah. It's one of those games that it's like, oh, you're a gamer. Oh, none of that matters here.
Yeah, exactly.
None of that matters.
Exactly.
You can be. My grandmother has the same chance of fucking winning.
Yeah.
And she doesn't know how to charge her iPhone that we got her 5 years ago, still to this day. And she could probably compete.
It's so perfectly engineered for streaming. Like, you know what I mean? Like if you were watching, I don't know, maybe if you were watching like a no cam stream with no audio, like if you were just like watching it, it's nothing. It's like the entertainment is the reaction. It is the, like, some dude grabs you and throws you off the edge and your reaction to that when you were about to qual for the last round or something. Like, it's, oh my God. So it's just like, it was so beautifully crafted for viewing on Twitch. I haven't played it, but it has been
I never made it past the second.
The highlight of my week, watching Tim try to get a win, watching Landmark try to, like, meta it. Like, you know what I mean? Watching Landmark try to landmark it. He's like, oh, boys, this is the strat. We got this. We're hitting Fall Mountain. Like, oh my God, dude, it's so...
Yeah, the strat when there's 5 doors in front of you and 2 of them will open.
Yeah.
And 3 of them won't. What's the strat? You're just waiting to see who bonks into it, but then you're behind, right? So you just roll the dice.
Dude.
There's so much...
Or the hexagon one, dude. The one Tim won on. There's crazy strats for that, bro. For sure. It's insane. People will drop all the way down to the bottom level and just start deleting everything so people die without knowing that they're about to die. Dude, it's wild. I mean, oh my God. It was.
I'm sure there's plenty of skill. I don't want to say that it's not.
No, yeah, like, but I get what you're saying.
It's just like, it's one of those games. It's like QWOP, right? You ever play QWOP?
No.
Do you know what it is?
No.
So, you don't know what QWOP is?
I'm sorry.
You fucking kidding me, dude? Okay, so the controls for this game are QW.
Okay.
And OP.
Okay. I see it.
Okay. And I've played it a lot, and I can't tell you what they do. All I can say is that Q and W, it's like one lifts your like thigh and the other like extends your leg for your left leg, and the other, it's something like that. So I swear to God, you end up literally being like, and you just need to like run 100 meters and you just go like, you just fall backwards. You don't go anywhere. Like, it's impossible to control.
That's incredible.
But there are people that know the controls.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's like, you can't say it's not skill based.
Yeah.
It's just so fucking awkward. It's like the control is just like UP, QW. It's just this total nonsensical thing for you to be like, I'm walking. But I swear to God, I want to watch you play it. We're going to do this before this is over. I'm going to watch you do 1 round of QWOP.
Wow. That's incredible. I don't know. It's just like, it's like the exact opposite of Tarkov in the sense that, like, there is no risk and there's just like, you know what I mean? It's just like, it's just the complete, I don't know. Maybe it was just how refreshing it's been to like see anything other than Tarkov, but like, man, it's been the highlight of my week. Just
it's all the random. It's all the things that are bad about Tarkov. Like when you feel like you don't have control over whatever, and no matter how good you are, it's all of those things combined. But you're a hot dog jumping around in fairy tale land, and you're constantly landing in pink goop. and everybody's like, this guy's a gamer, he sucks.
Exactly.
It's not a good time, okay?
Dude,
I'm just mad because I'm bad at it.
Oh, so that's what it is. I gotcha. That's all right.
Because I played with like 4 other people and I died instantly, and it was you just spectate the other 3 that just keep going and going, and I'm like, and the problem is that I don't know if this is still the way it is, but at the time it was like number 2805, number 9864. It didn't have people's names.
Yeah, that's how it still
so
is.
I just spent the whole time spectating random numbers.
Yeah. It
was just weird.
I don't know.
But we can play. It'll be fun.
I legitimately haven't played it, so I've no idea. I've just watched
scream, fuck
300,000 people try to stream snipe Tim, which was incredible.
Yeah.
Okay. What else you got?
So I did my first attempts at conceptualizing and running hard space shipbreaker.
Oh,
speed runs.
Nice. I'm actually, after the talks with Danny B, the more we talked about that, I was like, yo, hard space, this is going to be amazing. So I'm interested to hear this.
It just, it nailed it down for me more than ever. So what I'm going to do is I got like Live Split, the software where you hit the keys, and I designed what my first run is going to be. And then I have the splits, and I'm going to probably spend, a stream or 2 or whatever trying to get like the best time I can at this one particular thing. And then I can submit that to speedruns.com or whatever I need to figure out. There's a bunch of them. There's like one official one, whichever one now, I think it's speedruns.com, but again, not sure. And then I can say, add this game.
Yep. And here's my run.
Because you need a video submission. So what I'm going to do is, I just discovered this morning, there's like, you can have like at least 4 save slots. The default one is like normal mode.
Yeah.
There's another one that you can start, and you might be able to start more. I just know that there's only 4 that I can see. But then there's one that is basically, it's like normal career mode, except it takes out you only have 10 minutes a day to work. And your oxygen depletes. It takes that out. So it's essentially like, so you can almost basically say, like, if I want to do this thing that might, because sometimes dismantling a ship will take more than one like shift.
Yeah.
You can kind of just do it all at once. You don't have to worry about the thing. But then also, if I'm planning stuff out, I can float around without having to worry about
a time limit or the oxygen thing.
So
that's smart.
So I'm sure that there are going to be a million different categories. But the one that I want to do is, if you go into career mode, and you go to like class 1, there's one ship there that is like the tutorial ship. So when you dismantle the ship, every time you do it, it has a work order. So you can dismantle every inch of the ship and min-max, like there's a Coke can floating. I could throw that in the incinerator, but you get like $5 for it. Whereas if you click the engine and click it down, it's 2 seconds and it's like $500,000, right? So it's like, so at some point I'm going to be doing some efficiency versus time of different things. But the work order is a really interesting way, because as soon as it's like a little checklist in the upper corner, and as soon as you finish it, your guy gives like a thumbs up, and it instantly will play a sound and fill in the checkbox. So I want to do, the first category that I'm thinking about doing was tutorial work order %, which is basically like how fast can you finish the work order for the tutorial ship. And it's 4 things. You need to get 1 antenna, one of the thruster from the back, and like the nuclear core. Yeah, maybe it's 5 things. 4 or 5, I'm not sure. And then you need like 500 pounds of scrap metal. So I already have my splits where it's like, as soon as you can just fly forward, get the antenna, throw it in. As soon as it's like check mark, that's like split kind of thing. Yep. So I've already figured out the splits I'm going to do. I've already designed them. I need to learn a little bit about, like, I'm going to be playing, and I realized that while you're playing for a lot of games, you have to like reach my hand over to another keyboard and like hit a button to say like here's my split because I'll have it on my stream PC.
Oh.
So you got to kind of plan out your splits to make it so that it doesn't like get in the way of your
Yeah.
run and that it's consistent. But it's a really cool thing in that when you start your day, you can hit like it. You say I want to do this game mode, and you're at a screen where it's like ready when you are.
Oh.
So I can hit space to start the game, and I have space as my hotkey to start the timer. So I can just go space, and then instantly start moving forward, go do my thing, and then at the end, the way that you time it, even though you have like your split timer, the official way I was tweeting with Danny B some more earlier today. Typically, what you end up submitting as the actual time is you'll like go into your video editing software, and you'll find like the frame where the checkbox is filled. So
yeah, it makes total sense.
But yeah, so like the first run I did, it took me like 7 minutes. The next one I did, it was 5.5. The next one, it was 4. And I'm already starting to come up with ways around like if I hit this, if I open the airlock and I hit another button, it like closes the airlock and then opens up another airlock, but there's a slight delay. And then right on the inside is like a thing that you turn to depressurize the cabin. So I like hit the switch, turn backwards, and instantly start moving upwards and back. So I'm facing the wall where the thing is. So I'm like already coming up with like speed strat.
And that's the thing, like that. I was just thinking, I was like, with all the tools that you have in that game where you can like lasso stuff and like tether stuff and use pushing something in one direction as momentum for yourself in the other direction, like the speed strats are going to be wild, bro. Especially like later on, like if it does kind of some, the community grapples to it, some of the like more complicated like ships and some of the more complicated things, like, dude, that's going to be pretty sick to watch.
Yeah,
it
there's
sounds
going to be
perfect. It sounds like exactly what you wanted, right on the cusp of something that's a viable game. It's a new game. It's something you can help blaze the trail on. It sounds perfect.
Dude, I'm excited. And it really just comes down to figuring out like there's a million categories that there could be, and the only real remaining question I have, and part of it comes down to I don't know enough about speedrunning yet, and also I don't know enough about the game yet. I need to just play the game more. Is that there's a million different things. Like you can go in, and the first thing you can do is like cut a hole in the side of the ship, but it's pressurized, so it'll instantly blow up chunks to where it's like I feel like I would want the category that at least I'm doing to be like no destruction in some way. How to define it to where it's like you can't
just cut it in half and have it all blow up. And
so it's like trying to figure out what the rule set's going to be. I'm sure that an interesting category where it's like fastest way of doing it, where it might blow up the reactor 1 out of 3 times and you just have to reset, but maybe you can just cut the ship in half and it'll explode, but the reactor's intact, so like maybe there's other categories. But I think for the first one, I want to do it so that it's like you can do it in this mode, and it starts when you hit spacebar, it ends when your work order is complete, and then I'm sure there's all different kinds of classes of ships. I don't know if there's like 7 classes of ships and like 3 types of ships for each, so there's like 21 ships, or if there's like 8 million, but if there's like 10 or 20 and they're all the same or very similar, there's probably some random elements in there around like trash floating around or whatever, then at least it's like I want it to be consistent, so where you can sort of master it, because every time you play Mario, it's the same game, with a few RNG elements, but for the most part, like these enemies are going to be here and they're going to be doing this. It would be nice if you could like get 99% consistency every time you did a run without having to like Tarkov would have to be, if I don't spawn on customs boiler side, reset the run.
Like if I get this version of this class of ship, like that's not what I'm looking for. Reset it until you get it.
Yeah, so I'm excited, dude. There's still a few things I had to figure out, but I might even do that tonight. I don't know. I'm considering. I haven't streamed it yet, but I'm considering doing some like initial speed runs. It feels weird. Like I feel almost like a poser because I don't know what I'm doing. But it's like that's I guess when you're new to anything, 100%. Like
No,
it is what it is.
I think it's good. I think dude, it has potential for sure. And I would be super interested to see like the destruction category. Like because you can, I watched Deadly Play. Can't you like kind of scan the ship and see like the internal components through like stuff that you're looking for? Like it'd be interesting. Like if I know I need this and I know it's pressurized, I cut here and it blows that into the thing I need it to go to. Like, you know what I mean? Like that would be super interesting if people could like hack the pressurized cabins and stuff.
Yeah, dude, I have like a million ideas for cool shit. The only other thing, again, that I still need to figure out, that I forgot to mention before, is when you go through your career mode, you unlock like power-ups for all of your gear. So the question is, like, how do you make it consistent? Maybe it's to the point where anybody who's played the game for 100 hours, who's going to be speedrunning it, would have everything maxed out, and maybe that's just how you do it, you know? Or maybe it's you're not allowed to max anything out.
Yeah.
So that's there's just so many variables where it's like, is it what kind of ship on what difficulty on what game type on what, you know, and then all of the different rules around like get 100% of the thing, you know, the whole, they call it the whole, what is it? The whole bison or something like that, where it's like the whole buffalo, I think is when, like, the whole thing. You want to make sure you use the bones and all the organs for, you know, whatever. Make it so that like you use 100% of it. You can't accidentally blow something up or have like a little piece of trash float away. You need to control everything.
Dude.
Yeah, I don't know. But so
it's exciting. That's dope, man. That's sick. That's exciting.
Yep. Have you looked into this? This is another kind of side note, but have you looked into, someone just mentioned something about dead matter?
Yes.
Have you seen anything about it? All I know is that like I saw a bunch of stuff about it, and then like I was a little bit out of the loop for a while. I knew it was like coming out, and then all of a sudden it's like now it's out, and I kind of feel like I missed the boat.
Yeah. Well, you didn't miss the boat. So the official launch of the closed NDA alpha was the day before yesterday, and as I understand it, nobody has gotten their key yet to play the game. I
was under the impression that like the servers just weren't working.
Yeah, well, no. So I don't know. So here we go. I don't know the whole story here. I know.
Hey, why don't you just have a fucking backbone and just make something up and say that it's a fact?
Just pick a side.
Just pick a side. They
got DDoSed right as it went live. They had 9 million hits on their website in 24 hours. They're a very small company. It like most things, even I've looked into it very little. Like most things, there's like obvious things on both sides where it's like, I think from the dead matter side and the communication, they played up the alpha. They played up the release of the closed alpha, NDA'd alpha, almost like it was a launch, which got a lot of attention, which draws stupid people. So they got DDoSed and their website's been down. You haven't been able to get on their website for the past 48 hours. It's just crushed. I mean, the devs are just getting absolutely bent over on Twitter. People just like these, warrior game devs who are like, oh my God, all you had to do was, Control Alt Delete and everybody would have their keys. Jesus Christ.
All you had to do was build an infinitely scalable server that could cost you anywhere from $5 a month to $500,000 a month. And you had to know what the number was and not.
The amount of times I've seen all you had to do was this and everything would be perfect or some version of that. I feel so bad for them on their Twitter and stuff like that. And then apparently the trolls came out really hard on their Discord. They're public facing Discord, you know what I mean? Just wrecked. Because I'm pretty sure they've sold 40,000 copies of the game or something like that. So I don't know. So when it comes out, it will be under closed NDA access, so you won't really see. They have talked about there's a partner program, a Dead Matter partner. You can become a Dead Matter partner, and they have talked about when it's working well, reaching out to people and allowing people to show off, hey, show off this part of the game or show off this part of the game. Clean got to do a whole stream in a build of it in their firing range, showing off the weapons because they kind of So it's definitely not like Daisy meets Tarkov. But they've said many times that they take a lot of inspiration from Tarkov. It feels like around the gunplay, the gun animations, and all the gun work that they really it was a huge love letter to that, almost like the Tarkov community. They really put a lot of time into it. But it's not Tarkov, you know what I mean? In any, it's a survival, game. The main focus is PvE. There will be PvP, similar to or DayZ.
So is it functionally the same as like DayZ in that you can run around and kill people and there's loot around the world and
yes,
zombies and
yes. Yep, zombies.
Okay.
But there's like these really cool base building mechanics. Instead of the whole like whack a tree 3 times with a shoe and then there's 7 logs and you pick up the logs to do the thing. Their system is, they've said almost every building in the game, so not everyone, but almost every building, you can go in, you find like the power switch, like the main breaker, and you can hold F and you claim that building. Now that's your building and you can begin to fortify it. You can board up the windows, you can set booby traps, you can power an alarm, you can bring power, you can bring water. And so instead of just like
random house is like, this is my house.
Yeah, so instead of like, roaming through DayZ and you just see like, 6 plywood planks and this is my base where I keep my stuff, you like can like fortify a thing and
That would be in real life. Like you would find, if something ever happened and everything went to shit, you'd end up at like some random person's house, whether it was yours or like a neighbor's, and it was like, whoever had the most food in the fucking cabinet or shotgun ammo in the basement, and this is where we're gonna hold up.
And then they did a cool thing where like, there's like a tool belt, almost like a utility belt that functions similar to the
Batman.
Yes. No, that functions similar to the secure container in Tarkov, where these really rare items that are very helpful, the ones I can think of off the top of my head, binoculars, a compass, a wallet, a key ring to put keys on, and a few things like that. If you find them, you put them on your utility belt, and when you die, you respawn with them. So you can like, as your character progresses, so you still get that you lose everything, all the the HK with all the attachments, you lose that, but you've got a little bit. Now I've got a compass, and I can be like, well, I need to head northwest. You know what I mean? Instead of finding that. And then there's a few cool things they want to do with servers, because like in all those games, like there's just like server wipes, but they're gonna let they've talked about on the dev stream letting whoever's hosting the server almost like a la carte pick what they want to wipe. So if they want to like wipe the loot in the world but let everybody's character progression stay, they can do that. They can wipe everything. So I think what'll end up happening is once the game matures a little bit is you'll be able, Dead Matter will become 100 different games. You'll be able to find these servers that decide to,
like how Rust is.
I literally know nothing about Rust. I've never played DayZ. Once again, Tarkov was my first PC game, so this whole world of like survival, like I just don't really know about how that. But I've been super hyped for it. It looks really cool. Like it felt like I really wanted to like. I missed the boat. Like I missed Rust. I missed DayZ. I missed old H1 and Arma 3. Like I missed all those things, and I was like, yo, Dead Matter looks sick. And it got squashed. So basically all I know is that like they're working super hard. And there's even stuff with Valve involved in Steam. Like they're like waiting on Steam to like give them the keys to give out or something like that. I don't know. It was weird, but you definitely didn't miss the boat. All that to say, if you want to check it out, it's even going to be months probably before people start streaming it. So
they said, okay, so they sold 40,000 copies. And like, if everything went according to plan, would they have given out 40,000 keys and 40,000 people would have been playing? Because there's no way that they do a 40,000 NDA thing and not have 850 billion YouTube videos out tomorrow,
dude.
Like it's hard enough doing that with like when I was doing the Hyperscape thing.
Yeah,
that was like I had to sign an NDA, and that I was in like Discord calls with like a lot of big name streamers, like huge name streamers, where it was like they were giving us all these details and giving us folders full of assets, and it was like we can't talk about it. And it's like I feel like I'm sitting on like the someone is like, dude, I gotta run to the bathroom, can you hold this? And I like open up, and it's the Constitution of the United. I'm like and that was like me, someone who's fairly responsible with I'm like, I can't click the wrong thing on OBS because I'll accidentally show the folder that's like super secret, definitely not porno folder with all of the Hyperscape, PNGs and videos. And I've recorded a bunch of videos that was like, I want to have a video ready for when this goes live. I ended up not loving the game enough to want to go through with any of that.
But when you're sitting on like exclusive access, you have those thoughts like, yo, if I could.
But there's like no way that like with the
Dude.
30 people that I knew about the game, because I think I was the first person on Twitch that streamed the game.
Dang.
Yeah, I had the first slot where I was like front page on Twitch, and yeah, I had like 20,000 viewers.
That's nuts.
And I didn't kill a single person. I literally didn't kill. I played the game for like 3 hours, and I did not kill one person.
Yikes.
Because the time to kill was like.
Yeah, I saw that. I was watching. Yeah, I have no idea, bro. And once again, this goes back to the like, you can't blame it all on the people DDoSing. Like their plan was a little convoluted for how it was going to happen. They were giving out all the email. They were giving out all the codes on their website as opposed to emailing them out because there was a privacy thing where like I don't know, apparently something had happened in the past. And so I don't know. I have no idea how they were going to get that many. I mean, like a Big Fry was like streaming Dead Matter earlier today. Like there was a pre-alpha build that some of the Discord
partners, I think partners can stream it.
Yeah. And right now, as I understand it, it's people streaming the pre-alpha build in single player mode, which is another interesting thing. There's a completely single player mode if you wanted to do that. You could just exist in Dead Matter and play a character for months or years and just explore the map in completely single player if you were into that. But I think that's what the people who are streaming it now. But so it's weird, man. It's weird. Why have an NDA if you're going to let people stream it? Because even if you're only letting 4 people stream it at a time, it's still showing off the game. Like, you know what I mean? So, and then why hype it up so much if it's going to be under NDA? I don't know. I'm still excited for the game. I think it all comes down to expectations. And whether they led people to expect more of it than it was, or people naturally expected more of it than it was, I'm like, people are acting as if like you are withholding their paychecks because you can't get into the closed alpha access of a video game. Like people are freaking out where I'm like, yeah, like the game. I mean, like what's most likely going to happen is when I get access, I'm going to play it for 2 hours. The bugs are going to be insane, and I'm going to put it down and wait a few weeks or months. Anyway, so it's like I don't know why people are freaking out, but
yeah, I think I need to know the core conceit about like what is the. Whenever I get into anything, whether it's a game or a new hobby, I think about if I was the best in the world at this thing.
Yeah.
What am I going to do, right? So if like I picture streaming, I'm like, okay, I'm going to be, a Shroud or whatever. If I picture guitarist, I look at like, oh, I want to be a friggin' Steve Vai.
Yeah.
If I'm playing this game, or Tarkov might be an example where you're just like an Uber Chad running around killing everybody for PvP and you have, infinite money and whatever. But it's like, what is the goal of this game?
Yeah.
What's the core conceit that like, do I just need to go around and kill zombies and pick up junk? Or like, am I going to have like this epic castle, and then have to defend it? And then even that, like how, I don't know. I just wonder how long that would keep me.
Yeah.
That would keep me going.
And that makes a lot of sense. It's a very specific type of game. I mean, you look at a game like DayZ, right? Where it's the same thing, where like the only point of it is to exist in this world, try to amass loot, survive as long as you can, and what makes it are these insane encounters with people. Can I trust this person? Do they, when you die, like, you know what I mean? It's not like dying in Tarkov where you're either going to live or die in this 40-minute window. Like you could survive on a DayZ character for weeks and then lose him. You know what I mean? So like, but in the past, I've been like very apprehensive of that for that reason. It's like, so I just exist is basically the point as long as you can. So it's definitely for a specific type of people, and this will be my first venture into it. So I have no idea if it'll end up be something where I can like, because even though I've never played it, I enjoy watching Smoke play DayZ every once in a while, because like he'll like get into a character and he's like, oh, we're the troll now. So everyone we see, we're gonna say, yo, hey, friendly fire, and then I'm gonna shoot him in the head, and it's like, oh, that's kind of funny, like, you know what I mean? And you can kind of play characters and role play a little bit and do stuff, but I don't know, how long it would ultimately hold my attention either.
Yeah, that reminds me of I've been looking a little bit more into game dev. I have a bunch of ideas. I've written up at least 3 separate, pretty thorough game design docs. Some of which have VR elements, some of which have a little bit of PvE and like not quite shooter elements, but different things I won't get into. But one of the things that's another idea that is a little less fleshed out and it just conceptually interests me is moving a little bit more in some ways. Like imagine the concept of a BR,
Okay.
like PUBG, but Tarkov with like raids, but then like the third Venn diagram that intersects is a little bit more like real life, but in a very specific way. In that, what I'm thinking is, imagine you have like an instance of a server with a population of people, and how do I word this? So in real life, I feel like, at least compared to a game, like what are the chances that when you leave your house you're gonna die? It's non-zero,
Yeah,
but it's not like PUBG where you jump out of the plane. It's like 93% chance like you're gonna die. I just think it would be interesting if it was like a hardcore game in terms of you get like one life, but it's like a long-term BR, but maybe not necessarily you have to be the last one to survive.
Yeah.
But like imagine, it would be interesting to me if there was a game like Dead Matter where you have to survive and stuff, but the stakes are you lose everything. So like you and me fighting, it's not in either of our interests. It might be something that would happen in real life, like last resort, or maybe you're just a psychopath and that's how you play. But if we've been on the server for 2 weeks, I'm invested in this character. I don't want to die, so I don't want to risk by just fighting some random dude. But so you'd have to balance it in ways that would make it so that's like not easy to kill somebody, and there are serious repercussions, you know.
And I think that's how games like Dead Matter and even DayZ and stuff like that, I think that can happen because of the servers. Because like you could never do anything like that in Tarkov because trolls are going to troll, hatchet runners are going to hatchet run, moslings are going to mosling. But when it's like, this is, you know, Smoke's DayZ server, when this is Jessekazam's server and it's moderated, you know, like the no pixel servers that like 41 runs on the RP, bro, you play by the rules, dude. They will destroy you. You know what I mean? Like at any given moment, there's like a 4-hour queue to get into those no pixel RP servers. Like you don't mess around. You don't run around, like unless that's your character, unless it's like a very, so I think like that stuff can emerge where like there's, you know, with us 40 in the server, like really want to play the game that way, where it's like, we want to see how long we can keep these characters alive. You know what I mean? Once again, I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but
yeah. But so let me just paint a picture for you real quick, because there's a few different things that I have, and I want to say this. If someone steals the idea, I don't give a fuck. But I just have the sickest visual in my head.
Okay.
So imagine what I was saying before with like the server.
Yeah.
I don't mean like BR, but imagine like you, the longer you live, you know, like you didn't play Diablo, but a lot of people who played like Diablo 2 hardcore, like you could play so that like it was permadeath.
Yeah.
Your character dies, it's game over. You have to start over. And there were people that had like level 98s, which were like thousands of hours of getting like. And it's one of those things like if you just misclick once in 1,000 hours, you die instantly. Like you'll get one shot. So it's kind of crazy, but there's just something about, imagine joining a server and you heard about like the legend of this guy, you know, and all of a sudden you look over and from out of the woods comes a dude who's got just the longest beard. Maybe he's got a fucking stub as an arm because he lost an arm, and he's got scars on his face and maybe like tattoos, and you can tell by the way he looks, like that guy has been through some shit.
Yep.
Like you can instantly say, like, that guy's a level 95, but it doesn't have a 95 hovering.
Exactly. There's more of an actual representation that guy's been through.
You just know that, like, oh fuck, you know, like this guy's a survivor.
Yeah.
So there's also potentially the you know, the motivation, you know, to either go after him or whatever. But you know, maybe the longer you live, maybe a little bit more powerful you get. I don't know, but I have a few ideas around that. I just think it'd be cool where like part of your swag is like that scars and injuries are persistent, and you need to you, and you could maybe choose your own interesting ways of signifying. Like maybe it's like every time I level up in such a way, or maybe it's like every month you like age. So you know, like the longer you go, maybe you can choose like, do I want to grow a beard? Or if you're like a woman, maybe it's like I want to have a really long hair, you know, like Sheena Warrior. Or maybe it's like I want to have notch tattoos down my arm, you know, or whatever. Like
that would be sick.
It'd be cool.
That would be sick. Yeah, dude. The Kickstarter starts next weekend, guys. So if y'all want to.
Yeah, I got to figure out like what's a game engine, you know, how is it going to, but the first game I think I'm going to work on is a VR game.
And
it's actually,
you've been saying you want to get into VR, right?
Yeah. The reason, I won't get into any of the specifics other than, I won't get into any of the specifics, but VR adds a little bit of additional complexity, obviously, to the development. But my understanding of how all this stuff works is that ultimately, like, the VR stuff you can kind of tack on almost at the end. It only makes sense. What I'm thinking about only really makes sense from like an actual controls perspective in terms of VR, and that you wouldn't want to like play this game with a keyboard or like a controller. You really want to have like
the tactile body feedback of being able to move stuff around.
But it would be it would give me the basics of, I know what I don't know. I know that I don't know how to create and import 3D models into games. How does, you know, what about sound effects? How do things like physics work? You know, like in the game engine, like all of the ways in which things interact. Like there's a million things I need to learn. I think I'm going to start with one. Let's just say it involves aerodynamics. I'll say that.
Flight Simulator 2021. I've heard that Unity is a great engine, and that Steam Audio is like really easy to just plug and play. If as a starting point, I don't know if you've heard of that, but
it's actually funny you mentioned that, because I was almost definitely going to look into the Unreal Engine,
dude,
for this initial thing, but. Another candidate for my first game that I want to make is a first-person shooter that blind people can play. And it just occurred to me that Steam Audio would be perfect for it, because with good enough sound, you can shoot towards the sound. So imagine just a square room that had a few different platforms and maybe, you know, some stairs in different layers. Levels, but it's turn the lights off. And you can move around and there's different sound cues and stuff, but like I've been thinking about that would be cool, because I'd learned Steam Audio, I'd learned a little bit of game dev, and also it's this cool accessibility thing where it's like potentially the first esport that people who are completely blind
would
play.
Be super interesting. Like, because you could create sound cues for when you run into a wall instead of just like stopping, like you moving, like, and that would be really cool. That'd be super.
Yeah, and I mean, like the spectators, if you're watching as an esport, like you could see the characters, moving. But if you're playing the game, you're essentially just dealing with sound cues, and it would be a cool way to train. Because you know, I have the sound trainer in the Battle Buddy app. Like, I want to be able to tell people, like, hey, you watch me and you think I have walls. Play this game, and you'll train yourself, and you'll realize that you can follow people through walls just by hearing them. You just got to use your fucking head and not be a knucklehead.
That's super interesting. Dude, I actually watched this crazy, speaking of like Unreal Engine, I watched this video today. Do you know of the show The Mandalorian? Like, I watched like 3 episodes. I never finished it.
It's about Baby Yoda.
Yeah.
That's all I know.
But Jon Favreau directed this TV series for Disney Plus and set in the Star Wars universe. It's the first like major production that they didn't use green screens in the filming of this. They used almost a 360-degree LED wall around the actors, and they created the worlds in Unreal Engine. So this blew, I'll send you the video. This blew my mind. So you remember really old school, when you see people driving in cars, there was the car, and then behind them was a screen that people would project onto, right? And it was like...
It was just...
Yeah. You could see it, and you could see it. And one of the main reasons that we moved towards green screening instead is that you can't move the camera. The background doesn't move. You know what I mean? You don't get the parallax effect. You can't move the camera around. Well, they link the LED walls and the world built in Unreal Engine to cards on the camera. And so as the cinematographers are panning, it's actually creating the parallax effect and all that kind of stuff around the world, hand built in Unreal Engine 4 or 5 or whatever the most recent one is. And they shot almost the entire show this way. And I'll send you the video because it's nuts, because they can do stuff with lighting. Because like in green screen, so much of it is like when you light it, there's green light reflecting onto people's faces, and you have to deal with the spill. And because of that, they were able to light it a certain way. And dude, you watch the video and it's just like, it's crazy, because like in a minute, they can just like click a button and you're like on a desert planet now, or on a thing. And it was just wild. And
is it immersive for the actors too?
Yes, that was a huge part of why they did it, was because like the actors,
there's nothing more awkward than like, you can tell sometimes that like someone's yelling at like nothing, right?
Bro.
Because the giant,
it blows my mind. I remember seeing behind the scenes footage of one of the most like emotional scenes ever in Game of Thrones with Daenerys and the dragon, and she's completely engulfed in green screen. She's hugging a big green styrofoam thing, and I'm like, how do you get there? How do you get to that emotional spot with 70,000 people, like, or 70 people in a room looking at you with cameras, and then you're just like in Smurfville, just like everything is green or blue screening or whatever, like. But it's incredibly immersive for the actors, and it's literally, they just bring in like Epic Games developers to create the worlds for The Mandalorian, and that's how they film it. It was crazy. I was just like,
there's more reason for me to get into game dev.
Yeah, so. It was just a really cool overlap of like gaming and the technology that was built to create more games, bridging the gap into like other industries and other mediums as well.
Damn, that's actually super fascinating. Yeah, I'm gonna be probably watching that in bed tonight. All kinds of shit. That's
and we'll link it in the show notes. Just if it was like an insider video they did, it was dope. It was really, really cool. So, but yeah,
right on, man.
I think that covers it for this episode. Thanks for hanging with us, fam. This was cool. I mean, we kind of bounced all over. I mean, content creation, technology, game design, Tarkov.
For once, it was about all of the things in life.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah. We just didn't talk about music.
2 new songs that just came out on Spotify.
Oh, by the way, dude, what song is it? Frick. Oh, it's Crush on your Boomer, Okay Boomer, or whatever album. I've had a song. I've had a song stuck in my head for like 3 weeks. Every time it comes on, I'm like, chat, you know what to do, and I just push the volume up, and we just like it hits. The vibe hits so hard. I don't know how you did it. That song is a masterpiece. There's like sometimes music just like changes my existence. Like I don't know. It's this song. It just, every time I hear it, it's just perfect. It's just the perfect thing.
All right,
dude. Crush. It's everyone in my chat like knows what that song is, because as soon as it comes on, I'm like, oh, this gets me in the feels. It's really good.
Alrighty.
So now we've covered everything. But thank you guys so much for being here, for hanging with us. This is a weekly show. The video version of this will go on my YouTube channel Monday, Tuesday, and then it also goes on all the audio podcast places, Spotify, stuff like that. We'll be back next week. Thanks for hanging, and we'll catch you all on the next one.
Peace.